The DTC has placed a chill notice on MMTLP shares for investigation in a great turn of events. So what exactly should you know? Sit tight for the next 10 minutes as we go through recent news as well as my chart analysis and price prediction. But before we do that, subscribe to our channel Stox 101 for regular stock market updates. The Depository Trust Company has placed a restriction on any movement for MMTLP shares while the investigation goes on. A chill notice is a restriction that freezes any movement or trade for a specific financial security and is normally issued when there is a problem. Now, people are speculating that John Birda along with George Palikaras have been fighting this battle, and that's why Palikaras made no comments on this. But in our opinion, we shouldn't make any assumptions as there are a lot more details regarding the case which are yet to be found. With all that in mind, let's analyze the charts. So as you guys can see right here now in the 1-day chart for MMAT, and as always, we'll first analyze the 1-day chart, then the 1-hour chart, and to end it off, we'll get to the 5-minute chart. But of course, before we do that, as always, we'll first talk about MMTLP, right? So what exactly is the DTC notice all about? Now, there are three perspectives, and I won't be wasting any of your time, so let's quickly get into them. The first one is a negative perspective, and what a lot of people are saying that FINRA and DTC are siding with each other, and what DTC is doing is that they chilled the stock, they chilled the shares so that they can figure something out at the back end, while of course the case that Rosa has filed, right, all of that stuff goes on. And that, in my opinion, is not that believable. Of course, it could be true, right? You cannot trust anyone, right? Whether it's the government, whether it's any agencies, you pretty much cannot trust anyone at this point. But I personally would like to believe that this chill is in our favor. Now, why is that so? First up, John Birda is going to meet Search Intel to further discuss things with them, right? I think he met them, or well, he's going to meet them. I don't exactly know what's the case, right? But once he meets them, once everything is finalized, they'll definitely be able to help. And of course, once we have proof, now of course we do have this proof, but once we actually present this to lawmakers and all of those people, that the books are not, what do you call it? They're not aligned, right? They're not what it seems like, right? They're not exactly matched, right? They're mismatched. And that, of course, is the biggest proof that we have of the manipulation and the synthetic shares and the synthetic shorting. So that, of course, is a good thing, right? So if that's what's going on with DTC, then that's perfectly great. The third perspective, which if you ask me, right, that's my own perspective, that's what I am personally thinking, that's what I'm personally believing, that DTC has chilled the shares. So of course, now there are two things in this single perspective as well. First up, DTC knows that a protest is coming up on the 3rd of January. Everyone knows that a protest is coming up on the 3rd of January, so they'll most likely try to calm people down before that happens to minimize, the strength of that protest. And of course, that will result in a lot more people, or rather a lot less people appearing at the protest, which if happens will probably cancel out a ton of media attention that could have possibly been gotten, right? But of course, that does not cancel out the possibility of a future protest, but that might be one of the cases. The second one is that, again, it's related to the protest, that they know that a protest is about to be held on 3rd January, and of course they're pressured into fixing this situation up before it becomes a mess, before it kind of spreads further. Now, of course, a lot of people, I actually held a poll, as I already told you in my previous video, about when MMTLP and MMAT holders, not exactly MMAT, of course, MMTLP holders and NextBridge, all of those people will get justice. And a lot of people kind of seemed hopeless over there. And, you're not to be blamed for that. You're completely right at your perspective. But what I'm trying to say is that as long as people do not give up on this entire situation, things should be good, right? So if people do not give up, then of course a lot more people will keep on joining this, right? They'll keep on joining this, I would say, struggle, right? That's a good word to put it, I guess. They'll keep on joining this struggle to kind of, enhance the weight of the situation, to kind of bring this forward and in notice of other major media houses as well. Hopefully, some major YouTubers will cover it as well after, since most of us, like me and other YouTubers, are already making videos about this. And if a few major ones, like someone with 500,000 or a million subscribers, makes a video on this, then definitely that will be enough to kind of get all of the big media houses to focus on this and kind of grab it up. And of course, that would kind of add up to a lot more eyes on the FINRA and the SEC. And of course, now that the FBI is involved, right now that they've taken up the case, they're investigating. They will have eyes on them as well. Now, of course, this is not my own statement, right? Because of legal reasons. This is simply um, a hypothetical scenario and a hypothetical opinion. Let's just call it that. So, what's going on is that once a lot more people start covering this and talking about this, of course, there will be higher pressure, and at the same time, it will prevent the topic from kind of getting dried out, I would say, right? So, we're already getting a good amount of tweets, but I do believe that this issue, or rather the people tweeting and making videos and talking about this issue, has kind of declined a bit on Twitter, especially in the past few weeks, I would say. So that, of course, is not a good thing. You all need to spice it up on Twitter, right? You should probably keep things warm over there, tweet a lot more things. And of course, this is not like a cult thing. I'm just recommending what's the best for you guys. Of course, not advice either. It's just my opinion. If I were you, I would be doing that, because the main thing in any struggle is the number of people that are watching, because that just intensifies the pressure that any organization, any government, any system has. And that, in my opinion, is the most important part of any struggle. But let's not get carried away. We're here to analyze MMAT. So where is MMAT headed? Well, first up, yesterday's prediction was great, right? It went perfect. And I had already told you guys that we'll get a gap up over here and touch a high. We'll get a gap up about above 1.2. I told you guys, not a gap up, gap down. I don't know why I said gap up. Then we'll probably go head towards 1.27, 1.29, and it did touch a high of 1.29. But for today, we can see that we're not getting that strong of a gap down. So today might actually be a negative day. I'm not too sure about this because this pre-market movement does not give me a lot of data. But considering the fact that we're already in a bearish trend, not exactly an extended bearish trend, I would say, but we might get some volumes before this weekend. And if we get a red candle today, that might be the trigger for further selling volumes tomorrow, and we might head towards the 1.10 cent zone, in my opinion, right? So if we get a red candle today, well, why did I draw that line? I'm sorry. Now, first up, of course, as you might have already realized this, and if you watch my videos on a regular basis, you know that I don't exactly side with anyone. Of course, I will help you guys, right? But at the same time, I don't side with short sellers and stuff. So, of course, if I say that a stock is going down, it's not because I want it to go down. It's just because I believe it might go down, and I want you guys to know beforehanded that it might go down, right? So, in my opinion, the stock might head down towards 1.15 or $1.1 before this weekend, and then we might see some positive volumes from Monday onwards. Because this gap up that we're getting, or rather gap down, I don't know why I keep saying gap up, it's not necessarily at a big support level. Now, of course, it is at 1.25, which is actually, a big level, but what the rule states is that your current price and, of course, the price that you're getting a gap down or a gap up at need to be at least some distance, right? It cannot be the CPR, it has to be the TC, the BC, or the S1 or the R1. Now, all of these things I'll maybe explain in a separate video, but right now we don't have enough time, so let's quickly jump on into the 1 hour chart. And now, of course, we can see that on the 1 hour chart, we did get some good volumes in the first hour candle over here yesterday. And after that, of course, things kind of went sideways, I would say. And we did get a negative pin bar candle over here, followed by a pin bar candle which was red, but on the upside. This is a negative reversal pattern, but of course, it kind of got discarded with this green follow-up candle. And in my opinion, what's going to happen is that even after we get this small gap up that we're about to get, we probably will get a not a sharp movement, a small movement to the downside, and then probably sideways or maybe recover a bit on the upside Of course, recovery will be on the upside. I'm kind of dumb. Um, of course, we might recover a bit towards the end of this day. And that, of course, would be a good scenario. But we have to make sure that on the 5-minute chart, which I'll be opening in a moment, we don't form a bearish pattern or a bearish trend towards the end of this day, because that would just result in a pullback for the next day, and we might fall harder on 23rd December. So with that, let's move on into the 1 hour chart. And let's see what's going on. And now that we're in the 5-minute chart, of course, I already told you guys this in my previous videos that volumes are drying out for MMAT, right? They're not as active as before. We can see that we did stick on to a lot of levels over here. We were stuck on around 1.25 for, kind of too long. We were stuck on around 1.28. That's another important level. We were stuck on around 1.26. That's not that important of a level, right? That's not that important of a level. If we look at the volumes, we did get some good volume in the end, but again, that's only about like $20,000, or 25 at max, I guess. And of course, if we look at the trend that we set over here, it's pretty much a bullish trend, right? But of course, we did get a gap down over here. So how do we invalidate that? That's the big question. We probably cannot invalidate that, considering that over a longer period of time, we've just gone down and then sideways. This isn't even a bullish trend at this point. It's just a sideways market with a touch of bearish and bullish. Of course, that's how sideways markets work. So now, as you guys can see, 1.25 pre-market. Where are we headed? Well, the market just started at 1.22. Well, I told you guys that we might go down today. And since we're at 1.22, this completely changes things, because if we go from 1.26, let me just figure this out quickly. So 1.26, so we would likely have a support at 1.24, another one at 1.22, resistance 1.28 and 1.3. It might actually turn bullish if we can get a small pullback in the first few candles, probably head towards 1.2, which I don't think we will. We might just get a pullback from 1.2. Well, we might. Who knows, right? So if we break 1.2, which is an important support level, of course, then we'll likely get resisted over here, get sideways, go up a bit, probably in the day around here. But on the other hand, if we get resisted, or rather supported over here, is the candle over? I don't think so. It's not enough time. Yeah, so if we get supported around here at 1.21 or 1.2, then that might be enough of a push to head towards 1.25, and we might end the day off around 1.24 or 1.25 in my opinion. If on the bearish side, of course, that is not a prediction. I personally don't think that it will go that bearish, but that's just, this does change up a lot of things about my analysis. So let's quickly jump onto the 1-day chart once again to see how this looks over there. Well, let me delete all of these. Why didn't they go away? Oh, I erased the indicators. Again, I'm dumb. I'm sorry for that. So of course we have a support over here at 1.18 pretty much, but we cannot rely on it too much. So if we look at the trend, we can pretty much see that it is still a negative trend, and we'll have to turn this current candle not exactly into a green candle, but at least get somewhere around 1.24 in my opinion, if we want to kind of get into a bullish trend for the days that follow. And we're in the positive now, so you can kind of, mark all of those levels, take it on from here, do your own analysis. And before the video gets way too long, remember that this most definitely was not financial advice, and I could be wrong, so you should always do your own research before you trade. And at the same time, if you enjoyed my analysis, be sure to hit the like button. If you did not enjoy it, be sure to hit the dislike button. You can subscribe to our channel Stox 101 for more such videos, and as always, I will see you guys in the next one.